100 years of experience lie in Ideal, South Dakota. The team at Jorgensen Land Cattle is going to take the time to offer insight into that experience along with many other industry experts. If you're ready to learn and grow, this is The Source.
Good morning, folks. Jamie Wolf back with The Source. Happy to have you guys with us. The earliest recording we've ever done, it is 7:20 in the morning. So I'm going to be drinking lots of coffee. Joined by one of my favorite guests to have on because Nick Jorgensen is a wealth of information at Jorgensen Land Cattle. And you never know where the conversation will go when it's him and I sitting down. We're recording this right after the 4th of July. So, Nick, how was your 4th?
It was good.
Good?
Yeah, a lot of fun. Yep. Beautiful weekend. I mean, you know, the 4th in South Dakota, it can be 110 degrees. It was beautiful.
Yep.
A lot of kids, so it was busy. But how was yours?
Oh, it was good. I got to scratch the itch and go get a little money out of them in Fort Pierce, so that always makes me happy.
Good for you, because all we did was spend money.
Yeah. Well, I broke even at best, so we'll leave it at that. Nick, I recorded an episode with Lane Geis at Zoetis on genomics, and him and I just talked about the sausage making. Mm-hmm. You know, we talked about HD50K tests, chips, databases, but we didn't talk any product specifics. Today, I want to get into with you Jorgensen Land Cattle's ideal beef evaluation and ideal beef genetics.
Yep.
And you guys have heard this mentioned previously on several different episodes, and we talk about it all the time, but maybe we haven't done the best job of truly explaining, first of all, the why behind the ideal beef evaluation, how that became ideal beef genetics and a full breeding system that we can offer to commercial customers. So where I want to start, Nick, is just explain what IBG and IBE is, and then we're going to dive in a little bit on the why Jorgensen Land Cattle has their own genetic evaluation.
Yeah, sounds good. So this all started, we were approached by Zoetis in 2018. And at the time, they were wanting to expand, obviously grow their genetics business, Absolutely. Right, on the HD50K test. And our operation is unique in a lot of ways, but one of the things that Zoetis knew, because we'd been using their products for a long time, right. Zoetis knew the depth of phenotypic information that we had right. at our disposal.
Yep.
And not only just phenotypic information, because look, feedlots have tons of phenotypic information, but the difference was it was phenotypic information on breeding stock to an extent that you're probably not going to find almost anywhere else in the world.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So, you know, I think at the time, database was well over probably 80,000 animals, largely breeding stock females and breeding stock bulls. And behind that was tons of information on semen tests, preg checks, you know, all breeding stock related things. And so they asked if we wanted to leverage that data into our own herd specific genetic evaluation. And to my knowledge, if I get this wrong, I apologize, but I think we were one of 2 ranches that were approached and actually ended up doing this. The other being Leachman's,
yep.
right? Which is the whole basis of the Inherit test that Zoetis has now that they make commercially available to people. And those 2 databases were a lot different. Leachman's had arguably more information,
right.
but they also have multiple breeds and other stuff
yep.
like that. Ours was very focused around Black Angus
yep.
cattle,
yep.
right? And so what we did at the time, when we agreed to do it, was we actually went back through the semen tanks,
yep.
and it may have been pulled one straw on every single of the bulls that we had on inventory at the time. Maybe a couple that we didn't have enough inventory on that we didn't want to waste it, so to speak.
Right.
But
and we picked those up later. So
yep. I think it was like 250 or 270 kind of foundation bulls, you know, going all the way back to Skyland Mirror.
Yep.
You know, from 1958. And then forward, right? And then what we immediately embarked on doing was Well, and let me step back. So not only did we have a really good set of data, but we were kind of at a point where we were really starting to grow the bull business.
Right.
And so we saw the amount of data that we were gathering starting to really kind of compound.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. And I think at that point in time, we were purchasing well over or marketing, from our cooperators, 2,000 to 2,500 bulls. That number today is closer to 3,500 or 4,000.
Right.
But it was generating a lot of new records every year. And so, the idea of having our own genetic evaluation was pretty appealing to us at the time for several reasons, which I'd like to talk about for just a few minutes. The first was our situation here is, once again, very unique in that we largely market, what the industry would call a commercial bull.
Quote unquote.
Quote unquote. We don't like to call them that, and we'll explain why in a minute. But they were commercial bulls. And when we would market these to people, we didn't have a way to generate GEPDs on these animals or any kind of, performance indicators outside of like the actual measured weaning weight, the actual measured yearling weight. And, and you can calculate an EPD to a degree
Right.
off that. If you know something about the sire and you know something about the dam, you can.
It's the old school that Lane and I talked about in our interview. It's the old school parental average
breeding value
that you make a breeding value out of. So
that's what it was.
Yeah,
and that data was better than no data.
Right. Absolutely.
But it wasn't as good as what we were getting on our purely registered bulls through the Angus Association and through what the name of their test was at the time.
It's just
through AGI.
Yeah, AGI,
right, through AGI.
HD50K and AGI.
So we could see this disparity, right, in like the small subset, which is markedly a small subset of bulls we were marketing back in 2018 that had these GEPDs, and we knew they were useful.
Right.
And then this huge subset that we couldn't get them on. Right. It was impossible to get them. And so we looked at it from a standpoint of, well, this gives us the ability to provide better information to our customers and for us to make better decisions. So that was one of the reasons that we signed on with Zoetis. There were two others, and these are a little bit more contentious, but I'll just talk about from our side of the coin why we did what we did.
Absolutely.
And that was around data ownership.
Yep.
Right. Right around that time, it had been just a little sooner than that, the American Angus Association made it very clear that when you paid for a test through Angus Genetics, got results, you had access to the results, but they were not yours.
Yeah, they're Angus's results.
They are Angus's results. So that's the decision that they made.
Yep.
Right. Well, we look at it and say, well, hey, we're spending X amount of dollars a year. We're breeding these cattle. We're collecting these phenotypes.
Yep.
Yes, I understand we don't have the model, but it's all fed by our data. It's just run through Angus. We didn't like it.
Right.
And I think you would probably find if you sat down with a lot of producers, they would probably say the same thing.
Yeah,
don't like that.
Yeah.
If I ever want my information and I have to get permission from you to get it on my cattle that I breed and I own.
Right. Well, and you can't get Angus to kick you the genotypes back out.
Yeah, that's
to
right.
put them through another evaluation.
Yep. You can get all the results that you want, but if you truly want the genotype file, you cannot get it.
Yep.
Right. So what Zoetis offered us was the complete opposite.
Yep.
In that, listen, this data is 100% yours. You just say the word, and the genotypes are at your disposal. Yep. And they have 100% followed through on that.
Oh, absolutely.
We've used, we are a partner with them. We intend to be a partner with Zoetis for an extremely long time. But there have been instances where we've wanted genotypes to go investigate other products that they didn't have. A really good example is bovine congestive heart failure,
Absolutely.
which when we first started using that, you can get it through Zoetis now, but several years ago, it was only available at Simplot.
Yep.
And we needed the genotypes for them to be able to do that, and it was a file transfer.
Yeah, and sending cattle into AAA that we've had to send in to get parentage for a customer. Zoetis has been super easy to work with on that. If you needed to go the other way with it,
not good.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Yep. So fundamentally, that flexibility and that freedom to truly own our data was was probably the second biggest part. Like the first biggest was we're just, man, this is amazing information that we can use to make the bull buying experience better for our customers and make, you know, to whatever degree we can, better breeding decisions on our ranch, even though we had, you know, all those tools already at our disposal from a registered standpoint. The third thing that you know we found a lot of value in that maybe we discounted at first was we have 100% creative control, if you will. Creative is probably not the best word, but strategic control of that evaluation. Cody likes to say, you know, AGI is controlled by the Angus Association Board of Directors, or some board of people from across the United States, different operations, things like that. Ours is controlled by, well, at the end of the day, Cody and I. Right. Now, we got a really good team that helps advise us on that, but we ultimately control, Cody and I make the calls on that. And what it's enabled us to do is have a really good research and development pipeline, which Zoetis has opened up their team for us to use that to develop new traits. And one of the first things we did was we developed a breeding soundness exam, EPD, which has grown into an extremely valuable tool for us.
Absolutely.
From a procurement and management side of these young bulls, right? And the whole idea is it's a predictor of whether that bull is likely to pass his first semen test, right? At least from the genomic side. We can't control environment. We can observe it, but on the genomic side, we've got a really good trait, and it works really well for us. That would have been a gigantic undertaking, right? And Angus, they develop new traits. You know, all these evaluations develop new traits. But what was important for us is it was traits we wanted, right? Not traits that some other ranch wanted, that some customer in Kentucky wanted, or some customer in Oregon or Arizona or South Dakota. It was what we felt was best for our operation and for our customers.
Yeah, it's not functional longevity.
Yep.
And I think, Nick, we're going to touch on it because I think it's worth noting. The ideal of beef evaluation, age of the animal does not impact genomic output.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And we're just going to point this one out. The bull that's on the screen right now, and we're going to let producer Boston do some editing later. Again, thank you for getting up early this morning, Boston. Skyline Mare 2058. This is an anchor bull in this program from clear back to 1958. They have him Angus GS tested. The bull is minus 23 wean and weight and minus 34 yearling weight.
Garbage. At Angus, garbage.
We have a son.
Yep.
That last year we used 120 units out of, and he cleaned up cows. This year we used 150 units and cleaned up cows. The calves are as competitive as anything out of new top 10% type genetics.
Yep.
So when you guys see IBE EPDs versus Angus EPDs, you don't see big extremes.
No.
They're a lot tighter. And it's worth pointing out that there is a significant difference.
There's a significant difference. And you see it on both sides, right? You see it on a bull like this that he looks horrible at Angus. And what you find in the ideal beef evaluation is it's more centered towards the mean, right? As a matter of fact, I think he's
very average.
Yeah, he's very average at worst.
Yeah, and we knew the data says that is exactly what he is.
Yep.
And the genomics reflect that's what he is.
And then you see the same thing on the high side, right? An animal where it shows up with a 150, 160 or higher, yearling weight, or whatever the numbers are.
Yeah.
Those stellar bulls even converge a little bit more.
Right.
And look, you could argue, are you compressing, right, the actual genetic difference there? I think my argument is we've got enough animals in our database to show that no, we're not. I mean, there's not that huge of an actual difference. And so it gets into the question of like, why does this happen, right? And I guess here's just what I would say about the ideal beef evaluation. It is not a competitive mechanism.
Right. Exactly.
right? We don't have, there's no incentive
Yep.
for anyone. We control the data that goes into it, 110%.
Yep.
We make the call of what ranches we let. Well, let me step that back. Anyone could call that has Angus cattle and run tests and get an ideal beef valuation test.
Absolutely.
Anyone could.
Yep.
What we control is whose data actually gets in and informs the evaluation.
Yes.
That's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, that's something.
You can get results. Anyone can get results. But to take your phenotypic data and put it in as a piece that informs these EPDs,
Yep.
we control that tightly,
Yep.
right? And what that helps us do is removes the risk of bad data and bad actors,
Yep.
right? And we don't have an immense amount of people. You know, the circle is 25 ranches,
Yep.
more or less, just call it that bring data into this system.
Yep.
And it's not a competitive mechanism, right? So they're all Angus producers,
Yep.
commercial Angus producers that have largely used our genetics, right? Yep. So the gene pool is tighter.
Yep.
So that actually makes it easier to get predictions, right?
Right.
And we don't give any. So if you're a commercial, or if you're a genetic partner of ours, and I'm a genetic partner, there's no mechanism there where I do better if my numbers are better than yours.
Right. Exactly.
Let's talk about Angus for a minute.
Yep.
It is and maybe not even Angus, but just other evaluations that exist out there.
Yep.
It is absolutely a competitive mechanism.
Yep.
I am incentivized for my weaning weight and yearling weight EPDs or whatever, $B, whatever the trade is at the time that everyone thinks is important. I'm incentivized to drive that number as high as I possibly can in any way that I can do it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Am I saying that people cheat and stuff like that? I'm not directly saying that, but when the incentive is there,
Yes.
people are going to find a way to maximize it.
Yes.
Right? They're going to game it however they can.
Yep.
It's just the way things go, and it's impossible for a place for a large evaluation like AGI to police that to any
can't.
significant degree.
What are they going to do?
I don't know.
They
Show up
can't.
and watch you weigh calves. Show up and watch you on the scale. See, like for us, and I'll just be 100% honest. The only place that our evaluation could get gamed, if you really wanted to game it, you know, if you were a genetic partner, like, man, how do I make my numbers better? Would be to lie on your birth weights.
Yeah, potentially fudge a birth date. Other than that,
Birth date and birth weight.
yeah, everything else gets taken.
Everything
here.
else gets taken care of here.
Yep.
And I've got no reason to take genetic partners' calves, genetic partners' A calves, and put 50 extra pounds on the scale, and then take it off when we run genetic partner B's calves through. Right? It makes no sense. Right? Not even ours, because there's no competitive reason to do that.
And the major thing here, it's a selection tool, not a marketing tool.
It's a selection tool.
It is a selection tool. We want to identify the best ones. We want to identify the worst ones.
Yep.
And
now,
those are all relative statements.
First, it is a selection tool. Now, it does have the value of being a marketing tool once that selection has been made.
Absolutely, yes.
Right? And I think you'll see here in a little bit, I mean, we have a whole semen catalog that is built on, you know, that we market those traits.
Right.
But that's not done until we've made the call from a selection standpoint there.
Yep.
But yeah, so back to, you know, it's just the truth and accuracy and control that we have over this thing.
Yep.
You know, you put all those four things together, and it really brings together the whole, this is why we did and still maintain the ideal beef valuation.
And I think just one thing to touch back on a conversation again with Lane about the data population representing the set of cattle in the evaluation and genetic correlation between them. Remember Jorgensen Land Cattle, the pedigrees touch 94% of the Angus breed. We can cover anything that's Angus based out of our evaluation.
Very few that would
There's
say.
very little that just is going to be something completely off the wall, especially at this point where, you know, Cody has stepped out and used a few different sires. We have those genotypes involved. Very, very much a comprehensive Angus database.
Now, admittedly, what we can't do is we can't test a half-blood Simmental bull. Right. We can't test a full-blood Simmental bull. Red Angus probably isn't. It's centered around Angus, but guess what? That's the business that we're in. We don't need it to do anything else.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. So, Nick, we've developed an evaluation, and you know what value it has for you. How did this evaluation become Ideal Beef Genetics?
Yeah.
And a full breeding system and a philosophy here at Jorgensen?
So let's talk about a commercial cattleman in a vacuum. Like, they don't have access to any of these tools.
Yep.
Or, they have access to the standard tools the industry's had. What are those tools? So when you go to make a breeding decision, or largely like the best case is a heifer selection decision.
Yep.
That's the one we always lean on because it makes the most sense. It's the most tangible. What tools does an average commercial cattleman have at their disposal to select that heifer?
Their eye and a gate cut down an alley.
And maybe a scale.
Maybe a scale.
Maybe a scale. Largely not.
Yep.
So like you said, it's their eye and a gate.
Yep.
Right?
And maybe a birth date. Maybe.
Yep. Now, I guess here fundamentally, and that's it's not their fault.
No.
Right?
And
what tools have us as Jorgensen Land Cattle, as a seed stock producer, had for years?
Right. Full pedigrees.
Yep.
Expected progeny differences.
Yep.
Weights. Weights, all the weights, weaning weights, yearling weights, birth weights, scan data, all the way up into recent times with genomics, and just a whole litany of data that you can use to make decisions on.
And always, you're always better off. We will always have an advantage over that commercial producer because all the phenotypic measurements, right? They're just not taking as much data as we are, and that's okay. They don't have a reason to.
Exactly.
Right? But we will always have a phenotypic advantage, unless that commercial producer says, "Hey, this is worth it to me," and they're going to go through all that work. And some of them do that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
The next best thing, barring your ability to not gather as many phenotypes, is access to genomics.
Yep.
Is it perfect? Is it a perfect tool? Absolutely not. But is it a hell of a lot closer than looking at her and saying, I don't like the look of her today?
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Hey, she lifted her head a little bit too high on me when she went by. I didn't like that. Right? Well, I wake up in a bad mood some days too.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Some days I'm 5 pounds heavier than I am some other days, right? So, I mean, you look at the natural weight fluctuations in an animal, whether when the last time they ate, when the last time they drink water, all the things that can affect that appearance of her when she comes through the chute or through the alleyway.
Yep.
It's not and I think anyone would, well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of people would say, well, it works just fine. I've done it for years. But if you sat down and logically thought through it, it's not a good option if you have better tools available to you.
Well, and the other thing I think is that, and people will say, it's not broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they don't know whether it's broke or not.
Yeah.
Whether it's preg checking cows, whether it's tagging them to match, knowing that she came in dry, all those little things that sometimes can mean the difference between profit and loss.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's just a straight up efficiency thing where you gave a heifer, an open heifer, a chance as a 3-year-old, and she went to dank and she came back as a 4-year-old and happened to rock one off. Well, then you keep that heifer back again. Well, there's a pretty good chance that those genetics.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason that happened.
There's a reason that happened. She should have left as an open heifer, but whether it was we didn't keep good records, and again, that all ties back into genomics with the parentage verification and all that side of it, where you're actually then knowing what's standing there.
Yeah. You said that it's not broke, don't fix it thing. That's entirely analogous to what Henry Ford did, right? To the horse, right? It was horses and buggies and carriages, and everyone said, well, why would we, this is great. Why would we replace it?
Yep.
They told, you're never going to sell a car. We've got horses. Well, it was better.
Yep.
It was not broken.
No.
Right? You just found something that was better. That's all it was.
Yep.
And it changed the world. And am I saying this will do the same thing? No, but it would. And I think we've got data to show that, man, if people would grasp onto this and take advantage of it, there's some serious improvement to be had in the beef industry.
There are producers that we deal with that would tell you that this did change their world.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a set of calves in the Sandhills in Nebraska that, you know, in 2019 when the walk-up family started, you know, there was some unevenness and, you know, just they weren't the cattle they wanted.
Yep.
Year 2026, when I went and pulled the DNA on the heifers, I wouldn't have wanted to have to sort them with a gate down the alley because you'd have been guessing at that point.
Yep. You know, it's funny that was 7 years.
Yep.
2019 to 2026, when we originally kind of studied this.
Yep.
That's kind of what we estimated it would take to go from where you were to where you want to be.
And they didn't. I should rephrase that because they didn't start genetic testing until their 2021 models.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's actually been
5 years.
5 years that they've made that drastic of a change.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean,
and they didn't. I shouldn't say this for certain, but I have a pretty good feeling that they didn't have to build new facilities.
Nope.
Didn't have to buy new equipment.
Nope.
It was doing was adding a process, probably at branding time.
Yep.
Pulling a DNA sample and looking at those results before they select their heifers.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's what it took.
Yep.
And then now on the backside of that, the other step it adds is now that we have these genomics, how do we mate the bulls to them?
Yep.
Right? Which we could get into. I
we're-
imagine we will.
We're
get
going
into.
there here in just a minute.
Here in a minute.
And that kind of finishes off this part of that conversation, Nick, as we kind of chased a rabbit there of the evaluation became ideal beef genetics and a breeding system that we're offering to our commercial customers.
Yes.
Saying, hey, let's DNA test your females.
Mm-hmm.
Let's know what we're working with.
Yep.
Guess what? We're going to use the same evaluation on those heifers that we're testing our bulls with. The data is the same.
It is the same.
And then we're going to come alongside you and say, okay, where do you want to go with them?
Where do you want to go with it?
And then I got this little set of bulls standing here that plugs right in.
Yep.
And we make progress.
So you made a really good comment there about we're going to sit down and say, where do you want to go with this? And Cody could speak to this better than me. But think about how much different that statement is than a lot of people that market bulls to commercial cattlemen today. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about them, but it's not what does your herd need? It's look what I have, look how good it is, and this will work for you. Cody says it about Grandpa. Grandpa Martin, 50 years ago, had to say, hey, this bull is really good. Trust me and use him on your cows.
Yeah. And
it's good because I say it is.
it was a joke that I made with Cody yesterday as we were videoing the tour, and he made that statement. And I said, well, when you make 149 and 72, Cody, you get to get away with that.
Yeah, you do, for sure. And it worked fine.
Yep.
But we can now come in and say, these are the bulls that you need because we say you need them. These are the bulls that you need because your cow herd says that you need them. And you decided where you wanted it to go. And because of that direction, these are the bulls we think you should plug in. Well, two things. These are the heifers you should not keep.
Yep.
And if you listen there, here's the set of bulls that will take you the direction you want to go.
Absolutely.
And the benefit we have on top of having this evaluation at our disposal in the first place is I challenge you to find a cow out there, a cow in the commercial business that we couldn't mate a bull to and make a better calf.
Absolutely.
You won't.
Yeah.
It's because there's 6,000 of them standing out there, right?
Yep.
And every one of them are different.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And some of them are bad in some traits and good in others. Yep. And that mix is great because a bull that works for you and your cow herd might be the last thing I need.
Absolutely.
But there's the inverse case too.
Yep.
Right? And we can fit them to every, it's not like you're choosing from 150 bulls here and I got to find the thing that will fit the best.
Yep.
You know, it's more like, all right, I got the granularity is so much higher here because we can get right down into it and say, here's exactly the ones that will work.
Yeah. And Nick, I think sometimes that's the blessing of the genetic partner system.
Oh, for sure.
And that, yes, we require that they use Jorgensen genetics. They still need to be Jorgensen cattle. And we have enough diversity in that system to where somebody in Martin, South Dakota, somebody in Chinook, Montana, and somebody in Canby, Minnesota can find a paternal line that fits their program. But we're adding their mix of the bottom side of those pedigrees. And it just provides, as you said, that genetic diversity here to where, you know, if I'm sending one back to the Sandhills of Nebraska and they need to control some growth, well, we've got some cattle that fit that system because they were reared in that type of environment. If we've got one going to Iowa, hey, I got one that's straight gasoline and pour it on, let it eat, and we can do all of those things.
Yep, exactly.
So, Nick, the main reason why we're having this conversation today, everybody has seen a set of EPDs. And Boston's going to show these. I pulled a set up here, and any time previously, if you've done a commercial test, this is what you're going to see. And I added some things here of just things you might see when you go to a bull sale catalog: sire dam, birth date, some phenotypic measurements.
Don't read them all. There's too many columns.
Yeah, and then you scroll on over, and you've got all these EPDs and all these percentile rankings.
Yep. And I think in a lot of cases, you're going to get an accuracy figure too, which we have. We just don't display. So triplicate
and
that. You know, generally what I tell people, if you look at our genetic evaluation, like you just look at a raw extract of what we get from Zoetis, I think there's 70 columns.
I think
all
right.
Numbers.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And where you're going with this is, what the hell am I going to do with this?
And if you're me and you're a data nut and you fit this same mold, we'll go through and we'll sort on our spreadsheet and we'll color code it and get to a point to where we can actually look at it and say, okay, this one does this, this, and this, and this. That's the one I need.
Yep.
Or this is the bottom cut of them.
But the difference, Jamie, is you do that kind of stuff every day.
Right.
And I used to do that kind of stuff.
And I like to do it.
And I enjoy it. I would venture to bet that most people don't get in the cattle industry because they want to sit in front of a computer and look at a spreadsheet. I know a couple guys.
There's a few.
I'm
one of those nut jobs, Verhelst.
Yep. There's not very many.
No.
And I don't blame them.
No.
Right?
They want to go look at their cows.
That's right.
And they don't have time for this.
Yep.
In all reality.
And it's you know, not only just it's information overload, because even if you've got the ability, Jamie, to go through and, all right, I'm going to color code all this. Well, how do I decide of these 17 traits what's important?
Right.
Well, I don't even 25 traits.
Yep.
What's important? What's not? To what degree I should weight these things?
Yep.
Right. It's a lot.
Yep.
And so people are going to look at this and say, "Well, screw this. No way. This I got nothing from this."
Yep.
Right. And we actually we found that.
Yeah.
Right. When we first started, it was overwhelming for anyone else that tested animals, right?
Yep.
Which I think segues into your point about, well, how do you take these results and make them digestible?
Right. And
for a standard human.
Yep. So now we're to a good point here, Nick. I want to stop for just a second. We're going to talk just a minute about the tools that we're using at Jorgensen's for this. So for those of you that have never seen match set, that makes it really simple for you to collect these DNA samples, data matches. It's no problem to do this, guys. And if you use the EID and you get a reader, they're actually affordable these days.
They are affordable.
It makes it really easy for you guys to track your data.
Yeah. Well, and so like when you talk about like a match set, it works really well for our system. Now, our system is different than a lot of other people's, but our genetic partners actually don't even need to have a reader. Right? Because when you have that paired dangle tag, that's going to get you most of the way there for a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, if you've got the ability to collect and house all this data in a spot, quick EID reader, and it's nice because you don't need a scanner and an EID reader. That it all does the same work. One of the things that we get a lot of pushback on is like, you throw up one of those match sets is, when am I going to put this in? When am I going to do this? Right? Because my personal preference, and I know yours is a little bit different sometimes, but do it at branding time. Branding time is the best time. Now, is it the easiest time? No, but it's the best time. And you're going to say, well, I rope and drag. We've gone to ranches and done this when they rope and drag. It's doable.
Yeah. And for me, I'm a birth guy.
For sure.
I'm going to tag him anyway.
Yep. Why not pull the DNA sample?
I pull the DNA, slip a tag in him. I mean, guys, I double tagged calves in January for 2 years.
Yeah.
We didn't freeze any more ears off than you do anywhere else in the world.
It's a good point.
Once they're dried off, you can DNA test them, and then you're done.
Yeah, you're done forever.
Yep.
Right? And the earlier you can pull it, because, it takes, let's just say on average 6 weeks from pulling that sample to getting those results.
Yep.
If you can do it at birth, you're going to get those results when those calves are out of grass.
Yep.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Because that gives you
time
until weaning to decide, all right, what am I going to do here? At least, what's my hit list from a genetic standpoint? Let me check this. And, if we want to talk about the real process we could recommend, and I don't want to jump into it too early, but here's my genetic hit list. Let's go check phenotype now.
Yep, exactly.
Right?
Yep.
And I know, because, when you're gonna castrate or spay or whatever it's going to be, the earlier you can do that, the better.
Yep. Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And if the minute I'm weaning these calves, these are the ones, barring this one looks like an absolute unit or something like that on the, some weird taily situations, you got a plan.
Yep. And it makes it so much easier. I mean, it just takes all the heartburn away.
Yeah.
We're ahead of the game. A lot of times that gives you time to, maybe it's even check a sire group.
Yeah.
Like, if you're using Jorgensen bulls or you're testing them against some of your own stuff that you've been buying, sometimes it's nice to go look at them standing beside the cow. Say, okay, that sire group worked, or that sire group didn't. And
That's right.
Hey, it's like Chuck and I talked about. We're not perfect, and we want to know when something don't look right, and we tweak and move forward.
Yep. So, like you said, perfect situation. You're pulling this DNA at birth. Because like you said, you're already standing right there.
Yep.
Right? You get the results 6 weeks later. What do we do with this big, ugly spreadsheet now and make it something that I can make heads or tails of?
Yep. So when did AgBoost, did you guys go to AgBoost or did they come to you?
No, they came to us. And god dang, Jamie, I can't remember. Probably 2020.
Okay.
Right around. Let's just call it then.
Right around there.
And the whole stick here with AgBoost is exactly what we've been talking about. These results suck.
Yep.
They absolutely suck.
Yep.
How do we make it where a human being can look at this and say, all right, this makes more sense than it did before?
Yep.
And their concept, in my mind, is ingenious. Is you normalize it all to a wheel.
Yep.
You normalize it all to a 1 to 10 scale.
Yep.
Right, based on percentile rankings.
Yep.
And you put it all together, and that's actually that's what AgBoost does for us. And so every one of the animals that we test, which we're at JLC alone, we're testing 6,000-7,000 animals a year. Every animal gets run through AgBoost.
Yep.
And it allows us to more accurate. I wouldn't say accurately, but more digestibly view.
Yep.
The results, whether you're talking about individuals or groups or genetic partner groups or whole herd, whatever it is, we can do it all in AgBoost.
Yep, absolutely. And so, Nick, we're going to talk just a little bit about, everybody has seen and heard about the wheels, but sometimes we don't do the best job of defining them. Several different wheels we're going to talk about here. And we've got an animal pulled up on the screen. This is actually Rooster, sire to 7209, one of our favorite bulls on the place.
Yep.
So what we're looking at here, guys, is when we go into AgBoost and we're going to look at an individual.
Yep.
This is what I would pull up, And the wheel that we're looking at is his overall wheel.
His overall wheel.
So that
And there are 4 wheels
Four.
that we generally that we have access to, and this is the overall.
yeah.
Is the
So
first one.
so overall, Jorgensen Versatile Index for maternal, Jorgensen Versatile Index for heifers.
Yep.
Basically just a heifer bull wheel.
Yep.
And then Jorgensen Versatile Index for terminal.
Correct.
So that's how we get to our index numbers as well. But the wheel is really nice to actually show the sausage making behind getting to that index.
Correct.
So we'll get there in just a minute. First of all, on the overall wheel, that overall score, Nick,
Is an unweighted index of all the traits in the ideal beef evaluation. None more important than the other.
Yep. Yep.
Right. And some people are going to say, well, I don't like that because there's, EPDs are correlated.
Right.
There's a correlation between weaning weight and yearling weight. And if you weight them equally, then what you're doing is you're giving effectively more weight to yearling weight or whatever that correlation is. I can understand that, but here's why I like the overall wheel. I am not imposing upon you what you should do.
exactly.
I didn't make the call for you that weaning weight is 35% of this index.
Yep.
Right? Yep. You make the call.
Yep.
My goal is to get my herd to a 6.
Yep.
Great goal. You can do it in an infinite number of ways.
Yep.
Right? And so you make the call. If dry matter intake is important to me, well, god dang, I should use rooster.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
If weaning weight is important to me, I should not use rooster.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
And you can do this with your cows. You can say, look, I don't like high birth cows.
Right.
Whatever the thing is,
Yep.
you can make the call here.
Yep.
Right. And I think the next thing that's important to talk about, Jamie, is what all the spikes, right?
Yep.
The spokes look
where,
like on
where
this.
we need to go next. Absolutely.
But maybe before we go that far, the 6.2 in the middle.
Yep.
It's a 1 to 10 scale. 5 is an average animal.
Yep.
Weighted across all the traits.
Yep.
5 is an average animal. So you could, in a sense, say that rooster is 12% above average.
Yep.
Right? He's 12% above average. And then, but you could make the argument, well, yeah, but he's in the bottom 10% for weaning weight. You're right. But across the whole unweighted index,
Yep.
he is 12% above average.
Yep. And I'll tell you guys this. This is, somebody's going to say, oh, well, it's $C. Okay. Yes, it is. Here at Jorgensen Land Cattle and our genetic partners, we're not breeding for that number. This is just our tool.
It's a measuring stick.
To measure where animals are.
Yep.
And for me, the important thing with this wheel, Nick, is what you're going to go to next, which is, first of all, touch on strictly the overall wheel, guys, the width on those pieces of the pie.
Yeah.
In each trait.
So the width
Yep.
is heritability. So you look at a trait like fertility, which you can barely see,
Yep. Very
indicates
lowly
that it's not very heritable.
Yep.
You look at a trait like ribeye area or docility or dry matter intake, extremely heritable traits. So they take up more of the pie.
Yep.
Do they mean more in the average in the 6.2? No, they do not.
Not on this.
That is not an indicator of weight.
Yep.
It's just an indicator of, all right, if I'm going to focus on fertility, it's going to be a long haul.
Yep.
Right? And I got to use more than genomics here, right?
Yep.
But if I'm going to focus on dry matter, man, I can make some moves here pretty quick.
Yep. Yep.
So that's the width part of it.
Yep.
The next part is the depth of trait.
Yep.
Right? And this one, if you've looked at it for more than a minute, I think starts to stand out.
Yep.
It's just the score.
Yep.
Right? If it's touching the outside circle, it's a 10. If it's touching the inside circle, it's a 1.
Yep.
Right? So you can see a 1.1 on weaning weight, very, very small depth
Yep.
versus a 9.9 on feed conversion ratio, almost touches that blue outside ring, which, by the way, the blue outside ring is the, for Pete's sake,
Breed comp.
breed comp, yes. Yep. Breed comp. So these 100% Angus animal.
Yep.
But that is the wheel in and of itself.
Yep. And for me and how I use this wheel, Nick, I love this to get a snapshot because this tells me whether I'm looking at an individual or a group of animals, where we're at on each individual trait without me having to see it on a spreadsheet.
That's right.
And then when I'm doing especially AI matings, the herd sires, I pretty well know what this looks like in my head.
Yep.
When I'm doing matings, well, you just lay the wheels on top of each other. Go, he works there. He works there.
Yeah.
He works there. And that's how we roll on with it.
Yep. Correct.
So that is the overall wheel. When you guys see it, it has every trait that we test for represented. The score in the middle is just an unweighted aggregate.
Unweighted average
of every trait that we test.
Correct.
Currently at Jorgensen Land Cattle. And then the ability to just visualize where they actually sit within those traits. Mm-hmm. I think it just makes it so simple to look at a snapshot of an animal.
And so if you were to probably pull our database, my guess is, well, that average should theoretically come in right around 5.
Yeah, I think our cow herd hits right at 5.8.
Yeah, and then so that would mean it's 8% above the average, which today, there's 120,000 animals in this database. It's really rare that you see a herd. Like, you'll see animals that get above like a 7.
Yeah, but it's pretty rare.
It's rare, right? It takes a lot to move on the aggregate, right?
Yeah.
It takes a lot to move an AgBoost score 1 point.
Yeah,
it does.
And that plays back into antagonist traits.
Yep.
And rooster being the exception, but I use it a lot. I use dry matter intake and feed conversion. A lot of times those two traits work very adversely.
Yep.
So again, rooster being an exception to this rule, but again, those two traits fight against each other most of the time.
Yep.
So it's really hard to get above that 7. They're just
it's hard. It's hard. And some people will make the argument, frankly, that if they get that high, you start to get into like, what do you want to call it? They're almost like too good.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just,
you'll find that there's just a certain set of traits that are just weighted too heavily. Right. And, but listen, that's opinion, right? That's not fact. That's opinion. Yep.
So let's jump down and we're going to talk about, the 3 index wheels, and we're going to start with the maternal index.
Yep.
Now, on the maternal index, when we start talking about the width of the traits,
it's different now.
We're different now on the 3 indexes.
Yep.
The width, Nick,
is now the weight in the index.
Is the weight in the index.
So unlike the overall score where there's no weighting at all, JVIM, JVIH, and JVIT are weighted indexes that, we have specifically designed the weightings with Zoetis to meet the criteria that we think are important, right? And so when you see the weightings, you can disagree or agree, but this is how we've chosen to build JVIM or JVIC, I think it shows on there.
Yeah.
JVIM, JVIT, they're interchangeable.
Yep.
Weaning weight's the most important trait. Fertility is the next, and it just goes all the way on down to I can't even tell you what the smallest one is. It's in there.
Rib fat on the last trait. Traits that play on a maternal index: weaning weight, fertility, yearling weight, milk, IMF, birth weight, docility, dry matter intake, scrotal,
rib
proxy for fertility, rib eye area, and rib fat, guys.
With 75 or 60% of your weight coming from those top
4,
75 coming from those top 6.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And this is a trait we sort on a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think, guys, this index really hits on what you're looking for out of maternal performance in a cow.
It's the kind of the flagship index, I would call it. Whether you're picking on bulls or picking on using it to select females.
I think this is, back to when we trusted Angus genetics a little bit better. $W was a really, really good proxy for maternal performance. I think we're really duplicating that here.
Yeah.
With an index that is very much this is maternal performance, guys.
Yep,
This is something that if you want to build a cow herd, and we've kind of got them where we want them, then we sort.
Yeah, this was not just a willy-nilly process. There was a lot of work that went into deciding how these indices were going to be weighted. And what you notice too with all the JVIs, you start to see more variation in them, right? Like if you look at overall wheels, I mean, you're talking largely between 4 and 6, right? Rooster went from a 6.2 to a 2.6,
right?
And I've seen 10s, right? You by nature you're going to see 10s, but you see 10s on these quite frequently, right? So lots of variation, which in some ways it helps make a better, because you've got more granularity there. You can parse through and make your calls.
You're going to see a lot of, even 4.5s that may be a 10 on a maternal index.
Yep.
There was just some other holes in there that held him down overall. So that, again, that's why we're not selecting for overall.
Correct.
Right? We're trying to find the right balances.
Correct. But it's the height's still the same.
Yep.
Right. It's still score of the trait. Just the only difference now is weighting, is that width. So you see it here with Rooster, which we all know with him.
Sure shot Cavanese.
Sure shot Cavanese bull.
Yep.
Shows up as in the top 9% for our heifer index.
Yep.
And you can see why. It's 33% birth weight.
Yep.
And he's good there.
Yep. And basically, this all the same traits as what is in the maternal index, just way more emphasis put on birth weight here. Obviously, on the maternal index, much less concerned about birth weight. We don't sort commercial females a lot on this JVIH trait.
No,
this is really a heifer bull selection.
It's a heifer bull
index.
selection tool. Yeah, if you're sorting females on JVIH, you're setting yourself up for really, really light calves and therefore really, really light weaning weights. Which for some people, that's what they want.
Right.
But you could have a whole philosophical argument about whether that's the right thing or not.
Yep. And then the terminal index, this was kind of the KISS model.
Yearling, simple, stupid.
Yearling weight, IMF,
Yep.
and intake.
Yep.
And then ribeye with
there's
some
5 traits
level
in
of
the
importance.
thing.
Yeah.
Of the 17 traits we have, there's 5 of them.
Yep.
And this is also probably one where it's a bull selection tool, because man, if you're building your cow herd off this,
right,
that's going to be a tough road, I think.
Yeah.
A bunch of toads out there.
Well, and I do think there's some guys that they're buying their replacements. They may opt to test them and select on terminal because they're going to breed them all terminal.
Yeah.
And if that is your marketing system,
Go ahead.
hey, we can help you do that.
We certainly can. That's 100% right.
And we've got some cattle that'll probably fit that model for you without any problems.
Yep.
If that's what you want to do, we can do that.
That's right.
That's not our
philosophy.
Our philosophy
That's
and
okay.
our
It's
choice.
your cow herd, not ours.
Yeah, and that goes back to the consulting part of what we do here.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you want to do, that's what you can do. So I'll ask producer Boston, did the wheels make a little bit more sense now? We kind of covered what you... So I do want to touch on, and we're running out of time, Nick. We've got meetings this morning, but I just want to go into a little bit
do this in meetings.
Oh, yeah, me too. The genetic analysis portion. And I have 21 bulls that I've selected out of our system here, guys. And so if you test with us, we'll do a lot of this for you.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also, it's what part of the service that you pay for when you work with us. We're experts at this.
Helping you make some calls.
But I just want to show you guys. So when you select your set of animals, this is the first page you're going to see. And so now the wheel has combined all 21 of those animals.
So that is not one individual. That is all 21 of those bulls put together. And what you see, when it starts to converge, you start to see that. I mean, this is a good set of bulls, but look at the evenness, right? I mean, you look at Rooster, who was just, and you're going to get that with individuals, right? But as you start to get more, it starts to converge to that balanced center, which I think you made a good pick there. And if these are ones that are in like a semen catalog, I think what it'll show you is there's balance across the board. You can find what you need, right? And then to the left, that trait distribution chart is literally just that wheel spread out across the chart. It's the same exact thing. The only difference you're going to find is those circles. Those are heat maps of where the animals fall inside of that. So we've got 9 bulls out of the 21 that are at 10 or 9 or higher on docility. And you see that too because docility is an 8.1. It's the highest trait.
Yep.
Several bulls that are 10s on JBIH. So it gives you an idea of the distribution across that group.
Yep. And so when we're talking about commercial heifers, this is what we start with most of the time, to look to see where we're at, to kind of know, like, okay, there is a hole in this set of bulls. Their milk number
is
3.6. So if I was having a consulting session, I would pick on, milk and dry matter intake. So then what we can do, guys, is we can go over here and I can select all these animals.
This is probably my favorite part of the whole thing.
And I can say, okay, my maternal milk can be no less than 5.
There you go.
They have to be average at best. And I can shorten that list down to these 6 bulls.
Yep.
And then I can say, I said it was dry matter intake, right? So I can say then my dry matter intake can be no less than 5. And I can shorten that back down. So now
I've got 3 bulls picked.
And those 2 traits that we didn't love before are now 2 of the best traits, and we've moved them 0.3 of a point.
That's right.
Overall. So
make sure that's clear. 0.3 of a point
is 3%.
3%. Now that doesn't seem like a lot, but in the long haul, that's how you make progress, right? You don't make progress in baseball hitting home runs. It's singles and doubles, right? That's what wins you games. And so that goes back to, like, it took walk-ups a minute, right? This is not something that you just instantaneously see results. I mean, you will see results, but massive improvement is possible. It takes time and discipline.
And the other thing here, and this was a small set, right? And we opted to put a lot of emphasis on 2 traits. We gave some things up. We gave a fair amount of growth up here, guys. It's what happens when you single trait select.
Even just select 2 traits. It's not a hell of a lot different than single.
When you put emphasis somewhere, unless you're very diligent, you're going to give away somewhere else. But I wanted to take the time to show that of
how easy it was. I think is probably the thing for me is, okay, so we had 21 bulls there with 70 individual numbers we could have looked at, right? That's, by my math, let's just call that 1,400 different individual statistics we could have poured through, right? And rather than that, you were able to go pull up those 21, figure out what was important to you based on the traits, of the group, and solve it in a series of 5 or 6 clicks that don't take an expert to make sense of, right? And I think what you're doing now is pulling up a larger group of animals.
And this is, so now, guys, I've pulled up a set of animals. There's 399 here. We can go through the exact same process.
Go to
just simple
trait focus.
And fast. So we're a little bit of a hole on milk again here, Nick. Hole on rib fat. Let's hold growth. We want to hold growth. So I'm going to go back to my trait focus here. And I want to make sure that I hold growth. So wean and weight's going to be no less than 4. We have to hold that. Now we've gone from 399 to 289. Yearling weight, same way. I want that no less than 4. Those traits work very similar to each other, so we only knocked a few off. Now I go back and I say, now let's put focus on where we want to put focus at. Milk no less than 4. We're down to 109. Out of those, let's say it was 400 heifers, I needed to keep 25% of them.
There you go.
I'm down to 109. And now I can go back to that set. Let's see if we moved them or not, guys. Same result as what we had on the herd bulls, 5.9. We moved them 3%.
On
a simple.
What did you do there? It wasn't like you had to change your breeding philosophy. You're going to select these heifers anyway.
Exactly.
Right? So now, and you could make an argument like, all right, I got 400 heifers. I'm going to keep 100 of them. In a lot of cases, I think it's wise to select 130. Right? Let's make you a list larger than you need. You take this list and you pick the best 100 phenotypical. Right? And what you've done is you've minimized the risk of sorting off that really good heifer that maybe just didn't look that good that day, or that really bad, or keeping that really bad heifer that did look good that day.
Right.
But you're still
Yep.
inside the bounds. Like, these animals are all safe.
Yep.
Go pick the ones that makes your eye the happiest.
Yep. Yeah, and I think it's worth noting if you wanted to rip through them and say, I'm going to lop the bottom 15% off before we test them.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that logic.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, the ones that you know are really late born,
Yep.
or they'd been sick, anything along those lines, I can truly get behind saying they're going in the coal pen.
Yep.
And we're not going to bother testing them.
I agree with you. And the counter argument
is parentage.
is parentage, right? Because if you take them those, don't you kind of want to know what happened?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
And so
absolutely.
the argument would be test them all. That 15%, you know, you're going to call anyway, and I know you're spending, you know, X amount of dollars, but you're spending $50 to determine is this the cow's problem?
Yep. Or did they swap calves and she didn't take care of him because it was a swap deal, or that cow has now put 2 in that pen 2 years in a row.
What are we doing here?
She
guys?
needs to go to town.
She needs to go.
Yes.
Right.
And
so
no matter how good she is genomically, she's put 2 in the out pen.
it's not working.
She needs to go to town.
Yep. So parentage, and then just getting a sense of you could have a sire problem too. I mean, let's be fair.
Yep.
There's just a bull that he just ain't working.
Yeah, it's not jiving on your cow herd for whatever reason.
But lopping off those 15%, you're still going to get the value.
Absolutely.
Right. It's just, I would argue you're giving up more than 15% of value there. Yeah. But that's a battle that it's your cow herd, man.
Yep.
This is that is optimal. This is suboptimal, but not bad.
Yep. Yep. And for me, parentage, the one thing I think commercial customers and guys know this, but I think when they actually see it on genomics will be amazed by, if you had 100 head of cows turned out with 5 bulls and you get your parentage results back, one of them bred 70.
Yep.
2 of them got 10 apiece. 2 of them got 5 apiece, and 1 of them didn't breed any.
Do anything. And it goes that way almost every single time. It's so rare to see 2020.
It is mine, like 28-35. When he was turned out with recip cows here, I think he had like 59 offspring last year.
We had a genetic partner one year. The first year he tested, he had a bull that the parentage came back 64 calves, and he looked at me and says, "This is wrong. There's no way this is right." I mentioned that genetics don't lie here.
No.
Let's go talk to a vet. It's completely doable.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah,
but it's completely doable. And one thing that we've taught, and this is a kind of a forward-looking, like a future thing, is bull like libido or pasture vitality is something that would be a really, really interesting trait to see, right? Because I don't necessarily want 60, 10, 10, 5, 5, 1,
right?
Or however the math works out. You don't necessarily want that. It'd be great if you could get them all to be pretty even, right? Because there's a reason that we put all 5 of these out there.
Absolutely.
And it's completely doable. It's just gathering that data is the tough part, because you got to know, well, what all bulls were out with this cow group, and that kind of thing. Yeah. Be interesting to see though.
Yeah. And lots of fun things coming with the IBE.
We could talk for a whole other hour just about the potential.
Yep. And new trait development, and I'm gonna getting it going later because Geis and I have an idea for a new trait that I think we've got the phenotypes for. That would be pretty cool for our commercial customers. But Nick, we've got to go have a meeting, unfortunately. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
This has been really good. Hopefully you guys understand a little bit better when you see these wheels somewhere now. It clicks in your head as to what you're seeing, and I think you'll really like the visualization.
So just
aspect.
One last part of it, and we didn't talk about cost at all today, but I don't want to. But here is the statistic that we've seen time and time again when we've tested animals. For every $1 you spend on genetic testing on a female over her lifetime, it's worth 2.3 over a 7-year period. Now, that doesn't sound as exciting as 4. But you're more than doubling your money. If you take that, look at it as an investment, that's a 12.6% annual rate of return.
Yep.
You can't put your money in the stock market. You can't put your money in land.
Yep.
You can't put your money in anything else in agriculture and make a return like that.
Yep.
So it's a long game thing,
Yep.
right? Because it takes time.
Yep.
It takes time as the whole system, but it is a extremely valuable way to spend your money.
Yep. Yep.
But you got to be disciplined, right? You can't take these results and say, BS, I ain't doing this. Well, you did. You wasted your money.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You got to stay with the program.
Yep. Trust the process.
Stay consistent, and there's return there.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Jamie.
We'll catch you guys next time on The Source.